Am I on? Can you hear me? I was on. I
Yes.
was. Oh,
Yes, I hear now.
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. I don't know what's with my Zoom, but I'm on. I'm off. I'm on. I'm off. I can't figure it out. I mean, okay. Hopefully it's gonna work, and Hashem will help us. Okay. So let's go. Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Yochi. I sent on the group this mimer to do now. It is, in fact, based on the mimer we just looked in Torah. You look at the English of what I sent you. You have the English over there. Beginning, there's an intro. The first 4 or 5 pages are an intro to what the mimer was. But this, the Rebbe said this mimer, he was crying profusely as he said the mimer. And the crying is all about Hashem, like who am I and what is my mission, and am I fulfilling my mission? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I wasting my life? All those questions. That's what this mimer is about. So it's actually quite powerful, but not for the faint-hearted. Meaning it's all about real work. Let's go. Lotiye, you got it? What page is it?
I don't know what page.
What page did the Hebrew start?
9.
Page 9 is where the Hebrew starts. There should not be a barren or bereaved woman in your land. I will fill the days of your life. In this pasuk, before the pasuk says, you'll serve Hashem your God. He will bless your bread and your water, and I will remove any sickness from you. And then it says, so it's a lot of brachas telling you one day you'll get a lot of brachas. You serve Hashem, your bread, your water will have a lot of blessing in it. You won't get sick. You won't have a barren or bereaved woman. Everything will be awesome. If you notice, there's 3 brachas, right? People want 3 things we need. Boni, children. So it says you won't have a barren or bereaved woman, in other words, you'll have kids. Chaye is health. You won't have masiroisi machla mikebecha, you won't be sick. And mezoini is parnasa. Uberachas lachem chaves nemecha, you'll have bread and water. What a beautiful bracha. You have a lot of boni chaims and the 3 things a person yearns for. Uberachas lachem chaves nemecha, hunyan mezoini. Umad yish v'kasa v'beirach. You'll have bread and water. You'll have extra bracha in your food. And when it comes to health, you won't be sick. You say him as a further voice, you'll have a long life. How beautiful is that? Health. When it comes to children, you won't have any barren or bereaved women.
And this is if you serve Hashem, this is supposed to happen.
If you serve Hashem, you have children, you have long life, healthy life, you have parnasa. Great. You have children and they don't die. And the children, what's the point of the children die? Right? The children live long. You never bury a child. When Yaakov was under the impression that he lost a child, he said, Now Yaakov at that time was 108 years old.
איך זה קשור להקדמה? What this is what the Rebbe said when
Let me explain to you the setting. There's a mimer in Torah. Mimer we just did. He explains the same shekel of Akara Baratzecho that you want to be barren over Yibum, and it goes on Avodat Hashem, that your midot will last, right? All that. Now he says that so the Rebbe walks in, Tafshin Yud Beis, 1952, Shabbat Parashat Mishpatim. He comes in and he says a mimer. And the Rebbe starts a mimer and he explains that you have a lot of parnasa. The mimer is based on Torah, right? And in the mimer, it was a 55-minute long mimer, and the Rebbe started to cry fiercely because he's going to talk about Avodat Hashem, what this means in our lives. And as he does, you'll see, he's like, where am I holding in life? That's the question, right? That's the whole mimer. So anyway, so he says, so Yaakov was a shakul, ish shakul. Shakul is a lohak if you lose a baby. Shakul is even if you lose, he's 108 and Yosef would have been 17. Still shakul. Av shakul. Lo tiyeh. Now, lo tiyeh meshakila could mean, translate lo tiyeh.
you will not be.
There won't be. It's a prediction. It's a promise. There's two ways to learn. Lashon tzivui v'lashon avtacha. It's a promise, but it can also be a commandment. Haynu shetzivui shelo tiyeh meshakila. It could be a command. I'm telling you, I'm commanding you not to allow a barren and bereaved woman. As Torah needs zayin ki meshakila bakar. Could also be avtacha. A promise. Shelo tiyeh meshakila bakar. There's a vet needs zayin ki meshakila bakar. What does it mean? A promise, I understand. You want me? What does it mean? I should work. Shouldn't be a meshakila bakar. What does that mean? If you do what's hingent on you, that you shouldn't have a barren or bereaved woman, so what happens? HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised you shouldn't have a meshakela v'akara. In other words, if you do what you can, you do Avodat Hashem. Hashem says, I promise you, you'll be good. You won't have any barren or bereaved woman, you'll have money, you'll have parnos, you'll have everything you need. What's the condition for it all? The Tnai is to serve Hashem your God.
It's always say about them is to make Hashem.
Exactly. After again, but I'm saying how much money you have, in case you didn't notice, has nothing to do with how many brains you have. It's nothing to do with intellect. Whether you have atzlacha in finding children, what does it mean children? Why do some people not find a shidduch? Why do some people have difficult children? Is it because of anything they did? Maybe, but not necessarily. Could be it's nothing to do with that. Just Hashem didn't find you a shidduch. You gave a 35-year-old girl and you didn't find a shidduch. Possible, right? And it's possible that a person is tries everything he can in money. Another guy just does he kicks himself. Right? Why did I do that stupid deal? Why this? Why this? And the other guy does stupid deals all the time. He makes gazillions of dollars. The guy once told me, he said, I'm the dumbest guy. He said, no idea what I'm doing. I buy a building, I just put the money down, raise the money down, the guy comes back and the building doubles. He said another guy did it and nothing worked. It's nothing to do with you. In fact, sometimes the dumber you are, the more money you make. So he says, the after being again, בוא נחיים בזה, אמרו חז"ל, שזה לא תלוי בזכות, זה לא תלוי בזכות, אלא במזל. מה זה מזל? מזל. בחינת המזל, אין עניין הזכות הוגע, שמקום כמו ריבוי הברכה, בזה תלוי בעניין עבודת אף. He says, but there is something dependent on you. ריבוי הברכה. זאת אומרת, the fact that there is the abundance of it, the better you are in עבודת Hashem, the more you'll succeed in בוא נחיים בזה. That's what he's saying. Okay. You have to be וצריך להבין. מהו עניין העבודה? You have the English Hebrew if you want.
And there's the Hebrew that way.
Okay. מה זה עבודה? What does it mean? שעל זה נאמר, ועבדתם את השם אלוקיכם. So, I'm supposed to say, ועבדתם את השם אלוקיכם? אמן. תעשה עבודת השם, השם I promise you everything will be good. מה זה עבודת השם? Tell me how to do this. מה זה אומר? לכאורה, כללות עניין עבודת עבד לאדונו, שייך רק בעבד ואדון למטה. בישוח ונעריצה ונעם כסף ודין דבר מה. קדש, אדוני דבר כבוד. דבר כבוד אדוני מקיים. Okay. Now again, we're going to take this mimer to a whole new place, like we did in the Peror mimer. So he says, מה זה עבודת השם? זה לכאורה, כללות עניין עבד לאדון, שייך ועבד לאדון למטה. An Ebed over here down here in this world, and an Adon over here, the Ebed can do things with Adon. שהעבד יכול להוסיף שלמות אצל האדון. Yes, a servant can contribute to his master. אם מאותו אדון והאדון אמיתי, מכל מקום יש גם עניינים שחסרים אצלו. You're a true master, but there's things that are missing by you. וזוהי עבודת העבד לבעלות מחסורו, להשלים את רצונו. What's the work of the slave? The work of the servant is that, right? If you're a person who runs a business, I mean, you know you need people to help you. Why? Because you're a human being, you can't run it yourself. So if you're, an Eved, you know that the Adon needs you. ומזה מובן גם שעל ידי זה נעשה תוספת שלמות גם אצל העבד העובד. So you do well when you serve the master. But what does that mean to serve Hashem? Hashem is our master and we're his servants. מה זה אומר? אבל למעלה, כיוון שאי הוא שלמות דכל, Hashem is the perfection of all, אינו מובן. איך שייך שם עניין העבודה? What does it mean by Hashem, לעבוד Hashem?
Serving someone always means helping them out.
Serving means, that you're a servant of the master. So the definition of servant and master is that the master needs a servant. What does it mean to be a master? If you,
right, if you,
I'm saying if you're serving a master, after himself, exactly, you can't. But if the master doesn't need you, are you serving a master if you're doing something which if you're running a business that's not his?
Right, just being tortured or whatever, you're not doing it.
Right. So what are you doing for Hashem? מה זה עבודת Hashem?
Spot, no idea.
But why is he needed? That's the question. גם צריך להבין, also another question. שבעניין זה, מצינו סתירות בדברי חז"ל. לפעמים מצינו sometimes שעניין עבודה אינו נוגע למעלה, כדי סמל שבכי אכפת לקדוש ברוך הוא משוחט בין שרר ומשוחט בין העוף. Hashem says, do you really think I care about what you do? איפה זה? זה מדרש בראשית רבה. Do you think Hashem, I think I care if you shecht an animal from the neck or from the front to the back? The back is melikas, but the pasul. Yeah. אלא, לא ניתנו המצוות בדבריות. Why does Hashem give it to you? Man just says, for you, not for him. So does Hashem care? The answer is no. היינו שכל עניין המצוות אינו אלא בשביל לצרף בין הבריות. It's only to refine you. אבל אין זה נוגע למעלה, בחמבוש בכל פוסק says, אם חטאת מה תפעול בו ורבו פושע מה תעשה להם. Eve is being very cynical. He says, if you do an avera, you think you affect Hashem, he doesn't care. תעשה הרבה פשעים, לא אכפת לו. אם צדקת, מה תיתן לו? If you think you're a tzaddik, so what? ולפעמים מצינו, sometimes we find the opposite, שעבודת האדם יש לה השפעה למעלה, כי יש לנו פוסק, ואתה איתם לא קורא אחד. So sometimes you say in the Medrash that Hashem could care less about your avodah, doesn't care what you do. And sometimes we say, no, Hashem, he cares what you do. Hashem says, when you do a mitzvah, you increase my name. What does it mean, צור ילדך תשי? What does it mean, צור ילדך תשי? ובזמן שאין ישראל עושים רצונו של מקום בהיעדר קיום התורה ומצוות ב-90 כביכול כוח גדולה של מעלה. צור is the rock that's Hashem. ילדך was born to him, תשי. מה זה תשי? Weakness. When you don't serve Hashem, you weaken Hashem. So what do we have over here? One place says, one place says when you serve Hashem, you increase his power. You give him, you empower him. The other place says, Hashem says, I don't care what you do. Right? Doesn't make difference to me at all. So which one is it? He does or he doesn't? You following?
Mm-hmm.
What page?
112.
Page 112. In the Maimar said, the explanation is, כמובן בחסידות, מעבודת הקודש. ספר עבודת הקודש, the classical Kabbalah sefer. ומה שאמרו חז"ל, וכי אכפת לי, when Chazal say, does Hashem really care what you do? הוא על אדון יחיד שורש השורשים, דלי לא אכפת לי כלל. It's two different levels. אדון השורשים, אדון יחיד, the שורש השורשים, the roots of all roots, the master of all, Hashem himself. Do you think Hashem cares what you do? No. ואומנם, לצורך הכבוד להשפיע על הראשים העליונים, לייחד ראש המחשבה בסופה, צורך גמור. לצורך הכבוד, Hashem wants his honor revealed. So then he comes down to this world, and that's the level which makes a difference.
But I feel like the fact that we keep saying that the world is just like one, Hashem not the creator, he created, but I feel like that's kind of the same thing also, right?
Yep.
Like it's,
Yeah. היינו, בבחינס יוכי, עודן יוכי, זה מן שורש של כל השורשים, אין עניין העבודה נגיע הכלל. To the master who's on his own, to the roots of all roots, Hashem behind everything, he doesn't care about your avodah. When does he care? When Hashem comes down to say the Ishtalshelus. The Chochma Yireshis, when it starts from Chochma, the Gam Lemalam is in B'chinas HaKeser in that level that he cares. I just want to explain this for a moment. There's two things. There's Seder Ishtalshelut and Lemalam Ishtalshelut. You know what that is? Seder Ishtalshelut and Lemalam Ishtalshelut.
I think I'm saying where
Ishtalshelut, the way to understand is by us. You look at yourself and you postulate from yourself to Hashem. So by us, there's a Seder Ishtalshelut. What is that? It's called consciousness. You have consciousness and subconsciousness. Consciousness means that I have my intellect and my emotions. So my intellect, there's a process. When I understand something in my brain, right? That brain comes down to the, to the intellect. From my brain, I understand something. I move it through my brain, into my heart, into my emotions, thought, speech, and action. Right? And Hashem, but then there's the Malam Ishtalshelut. I'm learning something. And I'm trying to understand. I'm like, I don't get this. I don't get it. I need it. I need to understand. I need it to drop into my head. Now, it's funny because most of what we do in life is actually, interestingly enough, subconscious. Most of what you occupy with the subconscious. When you go to a therapist and you say, I don't know why I feel this way. All the time I fall into this space. I don't know. I can't help myself. So what are you saying? What are you in fact saying? You're saying I'm stuck, right? Why am I stuck? Because I don't know my subconscious. So if you think about Hashem in the Nimshal, there's Ishtalshelus and Amalam Ishtalshelus. There's four worlds: Atzilut, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiyah. Above the four worlds, what do you have? Above the four worlds, you have Hashem Bli Gvul, right? And Hashem is unlimited. So when Hashem is in the unlimited space, in the undefined, before he comes down to create a world, like you say, Hashem is not the creator. On that level, he doesn't care. But then he comes down to a level where there's a world and he's starting the intellectual and emotional process. There he cares. That's Chochma and Keser. Chochma is our Chochma Shelo, Keter is our Ratzon Shelo.
What does that do with our Ishtalshelut? Like
Ishtalshelut, just like by me, there's a consciousness and a subconsciousness.
Okay.
On the subconscious, that Lemalam Ishtalshelut, Hashem removed. When do you start caring? When intellect and emotion begin to enter into the picture. Beforehand, you don't care. It's above.
So I'm trying to think what's with Hashem's love. So he only cares once he cares. Like, what is that? A part of him.
It means really I'm unlimited. Really I'm above caring. I lower myself down to a level of caring. Basically. So he explains, Bechinas Arich, Shiur, in the premise of Hashem, it doesn't make a difference. By the way, in the Purim Amorim, he says the same thing. I mean, on Purim, he's supposed to go do Adelo Yoda ben Arur Aman Baruch Mordechai. Right? Hashem Tashelam, supposed to go Adelo Yoda ben Arur Aman Baruch Mordechai. Ma ze omer? You serious? You want to say the opposite? I mean, Arur the other guy and Baruch the other guy? No. It's not Pshat. Pshat who means this level. Adelo Yoda. You rise above that Hashem cares. And Hashem says, I'm going above that. Emunah. Right? Above Yediyah.
Everything is good.
Above Yediyah.
What's above Yediyah? Everything is good.
Everything's good, yeah. We'll be Iranian. It's a little bit of Kabbalah there. Once you're in Seder Ishtalshelus, Hashem comes down to the world and he cares whether you do things בכלים ואורות, it's called. לעניין הכלים שהוא אלה מאור, ונטיית מקום למציאות בזולת, if when I give space to somebody else, so I care what you say. כאשר האור מאיר, אזי יש לו רק המקור. ואין שום מציאות הזולת. If I'm shining, doesn't make a difference to the other guy. אבל כלים שהם הלם האור, הם לא יסתים מוקים במציאות הזולת. ועד שבריבו ישתלשל סתיו במבחינת נברואים. So Hashem allows a nivra to be. We got a few lines of Kabbalah there. I want to go through it. I mean, I mean, as soon as there's a kli, I mean, it means if I recognize you as a separate being, the soif al deribu ishtal does not in b'chinas nivroim. Lochein b'chinas hakelim and gain avodas nivroim. If I have a kli, I care about the nivroim. Mas a kli, let me explain what over kli is. Or is the content. Kli is the vessel, right? So, for example, if I say to you, I love you, so then there's an energy of love being communicated through words called I love you. If I give my wife a ring as a gesture of love, so the keli is the ring. If I go out and take my child to a pizza store, then the pizza store is the keli. But the or is love. If I decide to smack my child, the or is probably, or the or is still probably chesed, but the keli is certainly not chesed, it's gvur. So when Hashem descends into kelim, then he cares about the world. He's descending into the world and it makes a difference, right? Which means that what are you feeling? What are you going through? But really, he's a babish talchel. Below od, ela shegam be'aor nogea inyan avodah. Ba'or v'kli he cares about avodah. Dini af sheheder avodah p'gemak v'kelim eloi be'or, even though when you don't do the avodah, it affects only the vessels, not the light. V'kom kamal de'apugam be'akelim mistalek or me'akli. והסילוק מהכלי נוגע גם באור. So, yeah, it affects the light too. That's how Hashem talks. כיוון שבהדר העבודה נעשה סילוק האור שמסתלק מהכלי, ומילא נשאר בסכוונה שבוי. Hashem doesn't get, he wants an effect. Just bear with me for another few lines till we finish this paragraph. להסתרם בזה שעניין העבודה נגיע גם באור שלמעלה מסתלק של הכלים, שגם באור שלמעלה מסתלק הכלים, הישר שהכמונה מסתלק של הכלים. Hashem is, on whatever level he's on, זה נוגע אליו. Again, there's one point you're making throughout this. You're making that when you're above Ishtal, Hashem doesn't care. When you come down, that's when Hashem cares. You know what? I'm skipping the next 7 lines. When Hashem is above. Hashem is above. Okay. Skip 5 lines. ובבחינה זו אין הנגיע עניין העבודה, אבל זה נאמר עם חטוס המתיתל בו ברב, ושחמתס עליהם מסלקת המתיתל. And this level, Hashem says in Iyah, it's written, if you do mitzvahs, what does he care? If you do averos, what does he care? Let's summarize the paragraph before we move to the next paragraph. The point is, Hashem says, I'm unlimited, and on that level, I don't care what you do, but I'm going to descend into a level of caring. Right? Lo myself.
He's going to care. He's going to pretend to care.
Correct. Omnam, I want to understand. שהרי מה שכתוב ועבדתם את השם אלוקיכם, לא רק על מדרגת סדר השתעל שלו, אלא גם על בחינה של למעלה מהשתעל שלו. But when it says ועבדתם את השם אלוקיכם, what are you telling me? That Hashem, what did you just say? Really, he doesn't care what you do. Really, Hashem is unlimited. By the way, most people think that. I remember sitting down at a Seder in Japan. Fascinating point. Not on the Seder, and we did a whole Seder with a bunch of Israelis, you know, like kibbutznikim, whatever they did there. They were drinking wine, having fun and whatever. The next day, a guy by the name of Tsur, he says, Rabbi, I don't understand what you were doing there last night. He says, you mean to say that you want me to eat the matzah in 4 minutes and lean into the left? And if I don't lean to the left, I'm sure, oh, you didn't do the mitzvah. And then he says, you were nuts. You wanted me to drink the wine, and I had to drink the wine leaning to the left. If I don't lean to the left, I didn't do the mitzvah. And then he says, and then you want me to drink the wine now, and then later, and then whatever. What? Who cares?
I think some people here, let's say in the religious community, actually do think that that's the only way they could think.
What?
That they have to do this and they have to do that.
But
Hashem
he says
really cares, and if we don't do it, then we're doing
does Hashem cares? That's the question. Does Hashem care? So we just said Hashem doesn't care. Be'emet, he doesn't care, but he comes down to care. Okay, that I get. But when it says and you mean to tell me that he doesn't really care? Seriously? Come on, you don't believe. You can't say that.
He doesn't really care?
He really doesn't care, but like he cares. Come on. You can't say that.
What are you really saying? That he doesn't care?
Okay, so he says, let's understand what's going on. I'm gonna delve into this pasuk. You're gonna see this pasuk in a totally new light. You must look at the Chumash and see the pasuk inside. There's a contradiction in the pasuk from beginning to end. בלשון נסתר. יש לשון נסתר, which is lashon nochach. Nistar is I'm talking about he did that, he said that. Nochach is you said this. Nochach is your present, and nistar is your hidden. Yeah. The beginning it says, and you will serve Hashem your God, and He will bless your water and your bread. And then it says, and I will remove sickness from you. So which one is it? I will do it, or he? It's me and you, or he? Follow? So it says, the pasuk says, "You'll serve Hashem your God, and He will bench your bread and your water, and then I will remove sickness from you." No, you should have said, לא. מה זה בסירותי? Yeah? יענו, מלפים משקות ברמב"ן, בהקדמה של הפירוש של התורה. Ramban has a question. Ramban says, who wrote the Torah? Who's dictating? Who's the narrator of the Torah? שלא כתב משה רבינו התורה, דל הצבעים הראשונים, כדבר בעצמו, אלא כשליש המדבר. Ramban says, listen, the first 4 books of Moses, the first 4 books of the Torah are narrating. It's shlishi המדבר. Who's talking? It says, "Vaydaber Hashem and Moshe lemor," right? So, if you say "Vaydaber Hashem Moshe lemor," right? So who's the one who's speaking? Me? Who said that Hashem spoke to Moshe saying? Right? You follow when it says "Vaydaber Hashem Moshe lemor," you have to ask the question: who's the one who's talking? Who's the one who's talking? The answer is.
I wanted to make mine be last.
The answer is that the narrator. There's a narrator who's the third one talking. That's who's talking, right? So Hashem spoke to Moshe, and he said, Hashem and Moshe. There's someone else who's speaking. So Torah is written as a shlishi amedaber. Shein ze dibur shel Moshe, she'al ze itzama v'daber Hashem elai. In Dvarim it says Hashem spoke to me. V'daber Hashem elai. That makes sense. Hashem spoke to me. It's not Hashem either. Why? I spoke. לא השם ולא משה. המדבר ומספר אודות דיבור של השם אל משה. The Ramban says a very important thing to understand in the Torah. Who said the Torah? מי אמר את זה?
Third person.
The third person. וידבר השם אל משה לאמור. So who's talking? לא השם ולא משה. Because he says, and God spoke to Moses. So the third one, the Shlishi HaMedaber is talking. That's the difference. למעלה מבחינת מוישה ולמעלה מהווי. He's above Moshe and above Yud Kei Vav Kei. כי שאין Yud Kei Vav Kei מיועס ויהיה כאחד הרי שייך להסהבוס להשתלשלוס. הבחינה שלמעלה משני מוישה והווי הוא עצמוס ומהוס אין סייד ברוך הוא. So who's talking? The answer is Atzmus. There's no one else telling the story besides Hashem. Who's talking? So the word is, remember we said in the Bible, Anochi Hashem Elokecha? Yesh Hashem, Yesh Anochi. Hashem Elokecha. Anochi is the one who's dictating the story. The Eibishter, the Atzmus of Hashem, is saying, I lowered myself down to Shem Havaya, and Havaya and Moshe related to each other. By the Hashem Moshe Lemo. Okay?
And we said who in the 5th speaking?
We'll get to it. V'nika Shlishi Davka. Why is he called the Shlishi? על דרך מה שכוסה, ביום השלישי הקימנו, כידוע שחיינו מימיים כולל זה השתלשלוס, שאנחנו נשתיים. השתלשלוס is נמל and סייבר. אוירס וכלים. And ביום השלישי is עצמוס המהוס אין סייבר ברוך. Yeah? So again, the Eibishter said, this God himself, God, the core of Hashem, is telling a story. That I lowered myself down to the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, Vaydaber Yud Kei Vav Kei El Moshe. So now you understand what is going on over here. We're in Parashas Chumash Shmos, and not in Chumash Dvarim. So who's talking? Look at the pasuk changing context. He says, and you'll serve Hashem Elokeichem. Who's talking? Atzmus. Sheshlishi medaber oimed kasher ba'avatem Hashem Elokeichem. He says, if you serve Hashem Elokeichem, then what's going to happen? He, who's he? Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, will bless your water and your bread. Now he adds the clincher. Now he flips from narrator narrating a story to narrator talking himself. It's like when the reporter who's reporting the story becomes part of the story. Right? The whole Torah is always, he said to him, and he did this, and he did that. Very rare in the Torah, in the first four Chumash number 5, yes. Chumash number 5, because Moshe is the narrator of Chumash Torah. But in all the other ones, Bereshit bara Elokim v'Hashemayim v'Haaretz. Yeah. Vaydaber Elokim el Noach. And then, I don't know, Vaydaber Hashem Moshe lemor. V'yomer Hashem, whatever. All that, that's all like that. Very rare is this instance where the Shlishi HaMedaber takes center stage. Here's one of them. He suddenly says, Uveirach, he will bench et lach mecha memecha. And then he flips mode, V'asiroti. Lashon nochach. Shlishi HaMedaber oimer, if you start doing this work, shehu be'atzmo yosir machala mikibecha. He himself will take away the sickness from you.
Shuzamel, that's the highest.
What do we say? We said that Hashem cares. We say, Hashem doesn't care. Hashem is believable. And I said, no, in case you think Hashem doesn't care, he said, I want you to know that the Shlishi HaMedaber, that's the God who doesn't care. That's L'mala Mishtal Shalus. He's saying to you, and he will bench lach mecha. But then what's going to happen is, I, Atzmus U'Mahu, say Baruch Hu, will remove any sickness from you. In other words, the Eibush himself will come into the picture. So now you want to know, does it make a difference to Hashem? We said it doesn't, but it actually does. Because he switches mode. The Ramban says the whole Torah is written in Shlishi HaMedaber. That's why it's third person, but here goes the second person. So what's Ramban going to say? Then Hashem says, I will remove Machla, because I care. We just said before that back to the question, does Hashem care about your avodah? You said he doesn't care about the avodah. Yes, he does. Does he or doesn't he? Yeah?
If one left know.
Yes, Lomar. You got it?
No, but maybe I'll find it.
Yes, Lomar. Oops. What page?
128.
Page 128. ויש לו אימן. שזה שאמרו רז"ל, מה אכפת לי לקודש ברוך הוא? Chazal say, do you think Hashem cares in the Medrash if you shecht from the front or the back? מה אכפת לו? This what they say, doesn't care. קאי אל העבודה עצמו, פרוטי העבודה. אבל התיצור של העבודה, שלא נציר בבריס, שגם בריס בעלמא, בריס פסוך, נציר בזיכו. Does Hashem care about the details? No. But does Hashem care about the result? Yes. Yes, Hashem cares. Hashem created a world yesh me'ayin. And the reason is so that you could create ayin miyesh. He wants you to enter into this world and transform it. Hashem steps in. The third person steps in and says, I'm going to care about this. It doesn't say not like it says before, because it's talking about, before you're talking about the ability to have a machala. When it says it's a chidush gadol yoter. And even the machala, the poyel tiasar is a machala.
Just even if your intentions are.
If you're actually sick, you'll get rid of the sickness, right? In other words, Hashem saying, he's saying like this. If you think I don't care about the avodah, I care. Now we're building, we're revving up the wheels to get to the point, right? Does Hashem care?
Say a bracha and you just did it, then it doesn't matter, it doesn't change anything.
What?
You just make a bracha either for you don't think about what you're doing.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, Hashem himself is going to be influenced by it. Hashem himself.
Even if you don't have the kavanah of
because, yes. Next paragraph. Okay. How do you do avodah? Avodah means yira and kabbalah soul. Like you don't understand, you do it anyway. Shehi avodat eved. Sha'eved ain't not a first makom le'atzmo klal. Eved, what does it mean to be an eved? It means do it for God, not for you. This is where we start in the Maimon now. the way we operate all the time in life, everything's going to be, what am I getting out of this? Am I feeling fulfilled? Am I feeling good? And Eved sits there and does it because the master said so, no other reason. He has no entity of his own. He's completely about the master. He lets go completely, and it's all about nothing else but the master. The Eved, all he cares about is the others. He does what he wants. Where does Avodah begin? Yeah, Avodah the Kabbalah soul. Now the mind is going to begin. The Avodah is Kabbalat all. What happens if a person is in a state whereby he knows the truth about himself, that he's a lowlife? He knows that his midos all the time, he's struggling with his addictions, he's struggling with his difficult emotion. He knows that his seichel is thinking all the time about things that shouldn't. He's learned chassidus every day of his life, and then it doesn't go. You're in the opposite direction. He said in Yiddish, the Maimon is in Yiddish, right? Er hat sich nicht übermacht und steht in seiner Rezeinis v'chulu. Lo naga v'lo paga. Right? So what should you do? So now you don't do the Avodah? He continues doing the Avodah. He's not stopping. He's doing the Avodah. Why? When it comes to actual action, we don't have time to wait till we become perfect. If you're going to wait to become perfect, you'll never become perfect. You do the Avodah because you do the Avodah. You're not waiting for perfection. Yep. If you're waiting, even when you're in your state of mind, you got to work and serve Hashem with Kabbalah soul. So did every day in Avodah. How do you start doing Avodah? Every morning, Modeh. The first order of the day is you wake up, Hashem, Modeh ani lefanecha. You start the day, what's the first thing? Hodu Hashem. שעוד לפני ההסבוינן הסוכר וסוכר דזים ולפני ההסבוינן סברך קרישמה שמונה עשרה אמרו הוידו להשם מכנס עידו שזו יעבוד בדרך קבלת עול דווקא. The first order of the day, what is it? קבלת עול. מה זה קבלת עול? We start anything. הודו להשם. אני מודה. מודה זה thank you. מודה זה גם I acknowledge Hashem. And I say הודו להשם. What does it mean? That's the Eved. Don't wait for Judaism to do Judaism until you're perfect, until you're whatever. Every day you daven, you put on tefillin, you do your thing. There's a union of having Kabbalat Hol. Because that makes you into an Ev. So I want to be in the level that I get it, that I understand that I'm connected, but even if I'm not, זה לא משנה. Right? אמנם, כיוון שהפוסק והבת ולשב ולתכם. קוי על עניין התפילה. כמו שכתב הרמב"ם מצוות עשה להתפלל שנאמר ועבדתם להשם אלוקיכם מפי השמו לא משבל איזו תפילה. What is real avodah? Real avodah is תפילה שנאמר לא עבד בכל לבבכם. אמרו חכמים איזה avodah בלב זו תפילה. So we're saying what's avodah? Avodah is to serve Hashem. But what's core avodah? Avodah is davening. מובן שזה נכלל נוסף על עבודה מהירה גם עניין עבודה מאהבה. So you want to have Avodat Hashem means two things. Avodat Hashem means it's not about me. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for Hashem. That's number one. Number two, Avodat Hashem means tefillah. So tefillah is like yirah, זה גם אהבה. וזהו, עניין התפילה, לייס בוחון כפוחון דרכימוסו, בעניין הוא, what is davening? And now we're going to learn, this is where the Maimon is about, how to daven. So the Torah says, what we learned is the work is not for you, it's for Hashem. Even if I'm not holding mine, I'm still doing it for Hashem. Now he's saying it's also about love, not about fear only. When you daven has to work on both your animal soul and your godly soul. What is tofel? Tofel means to connect. So tefillah is connection. Tefillah is that my godly soul and my animal become, Hashem and me become one. What does tefillah do? So number one, I'm binding my soul to Hashem. Number two, I'm refining my animal soul. I'm elevating the sparks of this world. These two things that I'm doing. So he's going to describe now, essentially, the avodah of how do you get to a state of loving Hashem. So let's summarize this. The question was, does Hashem care what you do? And Hashem's like, no, I don't care what you do. I'm bligvul, and what you do doesn't make a difference to me. But then you say, but Hashem does care what you do. So what's the answer? Ishtalshalus, and Amalam Ishtalshalus. Hashem comes down to the level of caring. But when you learn the Ramban and you understand the Torah is talking about the third person talking, then when it moves and it says Vasiroti machala mikirbecha, now it's no longer third person, now it moves the second person talking. So if it's second person, I don't get it. If it's a second person, then it means that Hashem himself, the Atzmus, the Mahus of Hashem is Negeh Avodah. How do you explain that? So the answer is, he says that Hashem himself wants avodah, even when you're not in the mood, even when you're not totally whatever, it's going to be negata Hashem himself. And what we're going to learn now is how to daven, and essentially escape yourself. Everything we learn in life is all about me and for myself. So let me just explain what the Maimon is going to be about. What he's going to go to is that in an I generation, everything's about me and what I'm getting from it, and we don't want to hear that it's not about me. All I want to hear about is what am I getting out of it. What he's going to teach us now, and we'll do it Hashem tomorrow, this is the main part of the Maimon now, is that when you're looking about you and your own needs, and the more you're trying to get your own needs fulfilled, the less you get them fulfilled. And the only way to get your needs fulfilled is actually, paradoxically, when you're not trying to get them fulfilled. When you're ready to when you don't care about yourself, right? When you dafka, if you need something and it's what I'm trying to get, you'll never get it. When you let go of it completely, you let go of your own ego, that's the beginning of getting what you want, actually. So it's a contradiction in terms. Anyway, so this part is just the introduction. The main part, the Rebbe was crying and crying and crying, is the next piece over here, which is about a person not wasting his life, fulfilling your life, fulfilling your purpose and your mission, and getting all your avodah done. Today was a bit Kabbalistic, but tomorrow is extremely avodah and very relevant in life in our generation. Okay, outcome is for today.
Thank you.
Okay, I hope you get something out of it, but the next part is very important, the next part of the Maimon. Okay, Yom Tov Lekulam.